So we've talked about some of the behaviors that can show up for us in the patterns. We've talked about the fawn response and how that is related to how our nervous system has been imprinted by these experiences. I also want to make note of the impact on our belief system. And our early experiences, particularly with our mother, become so much a part of our internalized voice that could be related to things that were directly said to us, as well as just generally how you are made to feel in interactions, in relationship with each other. So for some of us, we might believe, I am safe and I am loved if I'm helpful and I have money. I must never be a burden. I am responsible for other people's emotions. My voice is not important. I am a burden. We might also come to believe that speaking up or holding a boundary is selfish, that you are only worthy if you caretake, put others above yourself. We might fear that others will leave us, especially if they see who we really are. And related to that shame, we might carry this deep belief that there's something defective, wrong, or bad about us. There's such an interconnection between the patterns that show up for us in the here and now, even when they were survival mechanisms in childhood. So this is part of what can make it incredibly tricky to step out of some of these patterns. But the beauty is there's so many different places that we can intervene, but we have to start with just simply bringing awareness to what's here. How has this impacted you? How is it showing? This trickles down into relationships where we might play the same role. We hold the same fears about abandonment, about taking up too much space, about speaking up and asserting our boundaries and needs. We might even find that we end up in relationships with folks who are similar to our mothers. And often these are folks who might benefit from you not having a voice, from you self-abandoning. And this is what can reinforce not just our beliefs, our nervous system response as well. Aside from being in that chronic fawn response where we're doing a lot of people-pleasing, self-abandonment, all the monitoring and disconnection from self all together, we can also just be sitting with a tremendous amount of chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. The nervous system can feel incredibly dysregulated. If you grew up in an environment with your mother where your emotions didn't have a safe place to land, they were either neglected, shamed, punished, used against you, we begin to relate similarly to ourselves in our internal experience as we go through adulthood. And even though it's an internal process, that can still cause the activation of our stress response inside the body. So part of what's important about looking at the mother wound and how we've adapted to secure all that love and approval is looking at what we've internalized. And some of that is going to really show up for you in what you notice in yourself. I wanted to share here a note on blame. This often comes up not just as we talk about the mother wound, but looking at the impact of our early attachment relationships as well. We look at the relationship with our mother, not with the intention of assigning blame or making her bad. We do this inner work for the purpose of trying to understand ourselves, to see the truth of our experience, to finally validate what was never validated. And really to prevent those wounds from getting passed down. We cannot heal what we don't know. So if there's any part of you that has maybe even internalized that from your mother, maybe even your father, or whoever else was in your family, that tells you that holding somebody accountable means that you're just blaming them for everything. I'm here to tell you that this is your work for your healing